Hello and welcome to the Trust Factor Podcast, the only podcast that guarantees your success when you implement its divine age-old teachings. Thank you for joining us, everybody. I'm really glad you can make it. There is a form of super glue, crazy glue that you can use to connect yourself to your creator. That's what we're talking about. How do people do that? How do people build such powerful relationships? You know who these people are? They're often the people that you see who are cool as cucumbers. When times get tough, they are able to make reasonable, rational decisions, even in the line of fire. Nothing gets these people excited to the point where they lose control of their faculties, where they cannot make decisions. These are the people who are able to withdraw themselves from any discussion, any conversation, any situation, and take some time to reflect. They don't give you knee-jerk reactions. These aren't the people who fly off the handle as soon as the stuff hits the fan or they get into a conversation that's not going their way. They lose their minds. They immediately respond in a way that is aggressive and destructive. Those people have a different problem. It's the opposite problem. The people who are always level-headed, who always think before they speak, never respond in a knee-jerk fashion. Those people have their stuff together. Oftentimes, those are the people who understand that there is a creator that runs this world and that everything that is happening, everything that is before them is perfect. Now, why do they not respond right away? Because they have to take a minute and analyze, assess the situation. What's going on here? I know with absolute certainty that what's happening here is perfect. It's perfect for me. It couldn't be any better, even though to me it looks terrible, even though it looks to me like I'm about to get fired, even though it looks to me like I'm about to have a massive failure in my business, even though it looks to me like, God forbid, the doctor's about to give me some terrible news. They do not respond emotionally. They don't respond right away. They take the information, they internalize it, and then they activate their emuna. How do they activate their emuna? They speak to their creator. They go back through their minds and they rifle through a lot of this information that we've been talking about, and they remind themselves of what's going on. It's impossible that what's transpiring or what's about to transpire is bad for me. I know it's perfect. So let me remind myself how. And that's what they do. And then they come back and they respond in a beautiful way. They respond in the perfect way. And they settle issues and they solve problems. That's how somebody who is glued to their creator behaves and conducts themselves for the most part. And there are varying degrees. There are people who are just starting out who still fly off the handle, but do it less and less. It becomes gradually much less of a problem until they're able to manage it to the point that I just described. Now, he says that the creator listens to the lowest, smallest, and most insignificant person on earth, fulfilling his every need. As soon as a person turns to him with a desire of getting to know him, even in the simplest language, the creator can fulfill his need and request. By way of prayer and simple emuna, a person activates the creator's power to fulfill any request. Why? Why? There's a condition here, you see. In the beginning of that paragraph, it said very clearly that Hashem is there. God is willing to be there for the lowliest person in the world, the person who has nothing, the person who is completely modest, doesn't think anything of himself. To the opposite extreme, God is there ready and willing to help them. But then comes the condition. By way of prayer and simple emuna, a person activates the creator's power. What do you mean? I thought he was God. Why does God need me to activate his power? That doesn't make any sense. That suggests that he's not capable of doing certain things, and we know that's not true. So what does he mean here? We've talked about this before. This is why idol worship, my friends, is extremely dangerous. This is why you have billions of people around the world running around following different gods, attributing power to animals, to human beings, to figurines, to statues, to nature. There are people who follow human beings. You know this. This is not a surprise to anybody. That people in this world have made human beings their God. That they've attributed creation, all of creation, to someone of flesh and blood. There are people who pray to cows. Cows walking in the streets, they're considered holy. And there are people who will pray to them, bow down to them, and consider them holy and worship them. Cows, filthy, dirty animals that people eat. Yeah, that's how powerful they are, that we can cook them on the barbecue and eat them up. And these people are praying to them. Yeah, might sound simple, but that's exactly what's going on. There are people who bow down to earth, wind, and fire, to the stars, the moon, and the sun. There are people today, I'm talking about today, in 2026. I'm not talking about 1026. Today, people are praying to the stars and to the moon. Today, I will show you people who will walk into a store, purchase a small figurine for $5 that somebody just finished carving in a back room. They will take that figurine home, put it on a shelf, light fire around it, get down on their hands and knees, and pray to that figurine. Now, tell me, are billions of people crazy? Are billions of people out of their minds? Are they completely nuts? It doesn't make any sense. These are intelligent people. In a lot of these situations, there are people who are very accomplished, intelligent people, brilliant people. How is it that they are praying to the moon, the stars, to statues, to people? How's that possible? And the answer is here, that if we attribute power, then that which we attributed power to is granted power over us. And there are stories throughout the Gemara, the Talmud, that explain this and give example after example of people who've attributed powers, and those powers become real. That item that they've attributed power to now has power over them, and they actually see the power in that item. That's why it says that idol worship is dangerous, because you're attributing power to the powerless. You're taking something that has zero consequence over you, and you're giving it consequence over you. So when he says over here, you choose, do you want to pray and give power over you to a statue, a little figurine, or the stars, fire, water, or a human being? Or do you want to give it to the Creator, He who created all of those things? He is sitting waiting for you to have that relationship with Him. Attribute the power to Him that He deserves, because only He is capable of transcending the physical and creating all that is. So give Him those powers. And as soon as you do that, you activate His ability to fulfill any of your requests. Rav Natan of Breslev, which is Rav Nachman's prime disciple, said, whenever I see deficiency, either there was no prayer or insufficient prayer. What's he coming to say? That prayer can solve every single problem. There is no such thing as a prayer that goes unheard. Now, it may not be solved in the way that you'd like it to be solved. We say that man plans and God laughs. You can have all the plans in the world, and you might think that you have the solution to your problem and pray for that solution. And when that solution doesn't come, you might think you've been let down, but somehow that problem goes away. Eventually, the problem disappears, and you don't recognize, or you don't often put together the fact that that problem went away by some other solution, because He knows what the best solution is. We don't. We think we know. Even Moses had to pray in order to get what he wanted. And we know there's a very famous story that Moses was not allowed to enter into the land of Israel. And that was because of the sins. That was because of the mistakes that he had made. God said, you're not allowed to enter into the land of Israel. And Moses took that very hard. And as a result of that, the Gemara tells us that Moses prayed nonstop. It says, in fact, that he prayed, I believe it was 515 times that he prayed in order to get into the land, for God to change his mind. And God had to intervene. God had to say, stop. At 515, stop now. Not one more prayer. Now the question is why? Why did God have to stop him? If God is in control of everything, why does God have to stop him? And the answer is because prayer is just that powerful. It says that if Moses would have prayed one more time, God would have had to allow him into the land of Israel, and that would have changed the course of history for all of humanity in a very, very bad way. And therefore, God had to insist that Moses stop praying. What's the lesson? The lesson is that all we need to do is pray, but not every prayer has the same weight, and not every situation requires the same type of prayer or the same amount of prayer. There is a way to pray for everything that we're looking for, and there is an amount that we should be praying for, and there is too much and there is not enough. Learn about it. Find a rabbi. Find somebody who will explain to you how to pray, when to pray, and how often to pray, and you will start to see open miracles happening in your lives. Have an amazing day, my friends. Thank you for spending time with us on the Trust Factor podcast. If you've heard something today that moved you, save this episode and share it with someone who might need to hear it. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss upcoming conversations that challenge, empower, and uplift. And if you're on social media, connect with us. Leave your thoughts. Drop a quote that resonated with you. Hashtag the Trust Factor podcast. Until next time, keep growing in your trust and keep living with purpose. I'm Jesse Revivo, and this has been the Trust Factor Podcast. Thanks for listening.